I'm Roy Lee Lindsay with the North Carolina Pork Council, and I want everyone to remember bacon makes everything better.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the David Glenn Show, now seen and heard exclusively here on the North Carolina Sports Network. Our next guest is the winningest coach in NC State football history with 85 victories and counting. He is now in his 12th season as the leader of the Wolfpack. His teams have received bowl invitations in 9 of the past 10 years, and 3 of those squads ended up ranked in the national top 25. Earlier this season, the Pack posted the biggest fourth-quarter comeback of his entire tenure in Raleigh. State trailed Cal by 13 points with less than 12 minutes remaining, but came back to beat the Bears 24-23 while on a 4,800-mile round-trip road trip. Coach Dave Doeren, welcome back to the David Glenn Show. How are you?
Hey, David. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Hey, when you arrived at State in 2013, after those 2 great seasons as the head coach at Northern Illinois, I can't imagine at that point that you were thinking about becoming the winningest coach in Wolfpack football history. So what hopes or expectations do you recall you and your wife, Sarah, having as you brought your 3 boys here to Raleigh? And how have these last 12 years compared to those hopes or expectations?
You know, I wanted to build a program, put the place in a stable, winning environment where the fans could be proud of the product, where I could develop young men, win a lot of games in the process, become a team that people respect. And I think we've done that. You know, obviously, you always want to win a championship everywhere you are. And from that standpoint, we haven't accomplished that yet. And we'll continue, you know, to move down that path, to fight for that. But I think, you know, we're one of the more stable programs in college football. And there was a stat last year, we were one of only 5 teams that won 8 games 4 years in a row in the entire sport. And we've done it the right way. You know, there haven't been NCAA things going on here. Our players are upstanding in the community. We've done a lot to give back in the special needs community as a program and as a family. And, you know, I'm proud of what we've done here. I am. And with that being said, I want to win a lot more games, you know, so always going to keep competing.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to follow up on some of those special needs topics in a little bit. But I thought of you recently when a guy I've gotten to know really well, Tony Bennett, 16th year almost as the UVA men's basketball coach. He chose to retire at a roughly similar age to your current age. What did you make of that news after hearing that he said this whole rapidly changing college sports world was no longer a good fit for him? Yeah. And you're someone who's close to his age and who's been coaching college football as roughly as long as he's been coaching college basketball.
You know, it's interesting. When I was the head coach at Northern Illinois, his sister, Kathy, was our women's basketball coach.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, their father was a coach at Wisconsin. So I've had some ties to that family and don't know Tony well, know him just from being at ACC meetings and running into each other. Have great amount of respect for him. And, yeah, it was a shock. He's done a great job at UVA. He's one of the best basketball coaches in the country year in and year out. But I also understand the sentiment. You know, it's a changing sport, changing landscape in college athletics right now, and it's a lot different than it used to be. And it's changed rapidly without a lot of warning, and still changing by the day. And so, you know, you can see why some coaches feel that it's different than it used to be, because it is. But there's also things that are the same. You still get to mentor young people. You still get to make a difference in young people's lives, and you still get to have a brotherhood and a camaraderie and a competitive spirit. And so, you know, to each his own, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for Tony, man. I think he is one of the best people you can meet too. You know, he's a first-class guy.
Amen to that. I have been covering, Coach, switching gears to your program again, Wolfpack football, believe it or not, since the end of the 1980s. And one of your guys, Payton Wilson, is truly one of the best that I have ever seen. There are others, Torrey Holt, others, but he's on the real short list now in the NFL, of course, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But during an open week for the Steelers, this is really cool. November 2nd, Pack hosts Stanford at Carter Finley. Payton is going into your prestigious Ring of Honor there at Carter Finley Stadium. What is the best way to summarize Payton's impact on you and NC State personally and professionally, and maybe even his place in Wolfpack football history?
Well, he's earned his name being up there, and that's the beauty of this place. It's earned, not given, and he's earned it. And he did it, with a lot of hard work, a lot of ups and downs, overcoming a lot of adversities. And like Jimmy V, never quit. There's a lot of times in his career, I'm sure through the injuries, that could have been something somebody normal person might have said, enough's enough. And Payton, it just made him better. And he just kept getting stronger through all the adversity. And so his name belongs up there. He's the epitome of toughness. He's a great leader. He's a tremendous human being. He comes from an awesome family. He represents the blue-collar nature of this program and this university. And so it's awesome when you get to do that. And, from recruiting to graduation to the NFL draft to now retiring his name and honoring his number, it's awesome.
You and Sarah, of course, in an age where y'all make seven-figure coaching salaries, y'all gave an extraordinary seven-figure amount of money to, among other great causes. One Pack Empowered is one of the titles that I remember, where NC State students with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, other cognitive differences, they are essentially given more support. There was great ESPN feature just last month where they revisited, I think from a previous year, you hosting that 12-year-old autistic girl named Payton Gibbs right there as an honorary coach on the Wolfpack sidelines. Give us an update. How is your oldest son, Jacob, who seems to have become a great success story 20 years after his autism diagnosis? And what is your main message to folks with Jacob or Payton Gibbs or so many others like them in mind?
Yeah, well, we were at a banquet last night in Atlanta. We were it was really cool. We were honored, for the program that we've started and the impact that it's having here on campus. And it's one of the best things Sarah and I have done, giving back to help others that, we found out the hard way. There's not a lot of help. There's a lot of can'ts and won'ts in this lane for young people, people telling them what they are and aren't capable of and labeling them, taking away resources from them. And so, through the process of struggle and finding some really good people along the way, we asked our university to step up, and that we would front it and be a part of not just, putting our name on it, but helping them raise awareness and adding inclusion on our own campus for students that need it. It's created a safe place where they can have advocacy, they can have one-on-one help, they can have a place where other people like them that, may struggle a little bit, but have incredible ability, can have a home and know that people are there to help them. And so we've got almost 40 students here now at NC State that are in the program. We're working our way up to 50. And we're very proud of One Pack Empowered, and the people that are helping us in the program are doing a great job. Jacob's doing well. He's in his last year of grad school at App State in sustainable technology, and he's trying to get an internship right now in the race car industry. So if anybody's watching that can help with that, we'd love to get some help. But yeah, he's sending his resume out to a lot of folks in the NASCAR world, trying to find himself an opportunity that way. That's his passion, his cars, and it's been a part of App State's solar race team there for 3 years now.
Very cool. I think I shared with you last time I saw you, my daughter Avery is about to become an App State grad herself. So I know that community and even a little bit about that program you mentioned with Jacob in mind. Hey, I saw an article in Raleigh Magazine where your wife, Sarah, was quoted, and I'm going to read this. I don't know if social media has spun this out of control or what, but people think they can say the most bizarre things. I'm okay if it's said to me, but when they start getting my kids involved, that is the hardest part. Coach, I've been around long enough. I got to know Herb Sendek, former Wolfpack basketball coach, a little bit. And after taking the Pack to 5 straight NCAA basketball tournaments, he left in part because he grew frustrated with how not all, but some members of Wolfpack Nation treated not only him, but his family. you had those lopsided losses to Clemson and Tennessee. I don't know how much negativity reaches you, but what can you share about just the nature of that and how you and your family handle it?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's always the loudest minority, that you get involved in this fan base. They're the ones that speak the loudest, and sometimes they're the ones that probably give the least financially to support our programs too. But you're only as good as your last game publicly is the bottom line. We have a lot of support in the Wolfpack fan base, and we know who our friends are. We know who has our backs, and we don't pay a lot of attention to people that we don't know. It is unfortunate that they feel entitled enough at times to reach out to children of coaches and send hate mail and hate email and hate Twitter and hate text and all that stuff to coaches' kids. I mean, that's pretty sad that happens. And it's not just here. That happens at every university. So I'm not singling out our fan base. I know other coaches at other places that deal with the same thing. It's part of the job now, is managing negativity. And you just know that, you are who you are, and in the eyes of God, in the eyes of your family, that's who matters the most. You know who your true friends are. When you have adverse times, like your phone gets pretty silent. You get texts from the people that really care about you in those moments. And when you win, everybody wants your autograph. Ruffin McNeil on my staff has a great quote. When you win a lot of games, they want you to write a book. And when you lose a lot of games, they don't think you can read one. And I think that's pretty right on. It's just part of the profession. And our fans are awesome. They show up. They're passionate. They love this place. And at times, they let the passion get the best of them. And it is what it is.
Coach Ruff, one of my favorite people. My wife calls him the human ray of sunshine.
Yeah,
I know you feel similarly along those lines. One cool thing about Wolfpack Nation and its attitude toward you and your staff is that since you came to Raleigh, you've got a 7-4 record against arch rival UNC. I know how your mind works. You're only focused on the next game, but I won't have a chance to talk to you one-on-one between now and the end of the regular season. If you were asked, what's the number one reason the Wolfpack has kind of swung the pendulum in its favor directly against the Tar Heels head-to-head during your 12 years, what is that first thing or maybe first couple of things that come to mind?
We've had a lot of really good games with them. It just comes down to players' will to win in those games and making a play. And, some of those games we've been able to make more plays and finish the games. There's been some overtime games. There's been some last 30 seconds to win the game type finishes. And, we've been fortunate to make a few more plays than them. I don't know if you can put that in words, what that is. And there's a hatred between the two football teams when it comes to game day. There's a lot of respect for each other, I think, during the year, but it is a heated rivalry for sure. And it's a fun game to be a part of. Every school I've worked out, you have that team that you got to beat no matter what. That's the game that you want to make sure you have a W in that game. And, that's one of them here. We have others too. And that one means a lot to our fan base. It means a lot to me as a head coach at this university to be able to not only have my senior class get a W in that game, but for all the kids on this roster to understand the value of beating your rival.
I've seen you, Coach, become a mentor to dozens, if not hundreds at this point, of your Wolfpack players on matters beyond football.
Yeah.
And I wonder, as our nation is in the midst of a national election and state elections, of course, coaches tend to not get specific about their politics, and we all understand the reasons behind that. But I wonder, how do you communicate to your guys as one of their mentors about the concept of voting in general or even this election in particular?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm worried for our country. I'm not going to get into where my vote goes, but to see who our two finalists are and know that that's where we're putting our votes, it's troubling. I'm sure everyone's seen the debates. And it's when I was younger, you really looked up to the president. And when they spoke, you wanted to stop what you were doing and hear what they had to say, and it mattered. And I think it's the opposite now. There's a lot of just head shaking when these people talk, and whether you're Democrat or Republican, I think we all just want a leader, someone that we look up to and know that they're making decisions that are best for our country and our safety, our economy, our education, and all those things. And to be able to say that's happening, I don't know that you can. When it comes to educating our players, I don't get into that with them. We definitely support them in voting and want them to do that, but that's a weird topic to be involved in with a football team. And I think more than anything, it's you want to provide them access. And if they do have questions, I know they have a lot of resources to go get answers. It's a wild time on college campuses. I mean, it's every time there's an election, it's interesting to see. But I'll be honest, with where we're at in the season, that's the last thing that I'm really paying attention to right now. It's how can we get another win?
I get it. Appreciate you sharing that. If you are anywhere near Wilmington, North Carolina, and looking for a little live music, a cold beer, a tangy slushie, a fun crowd, or just a taste of the good life at the beach, Jimmy's Bar in Wrightsville Beach is the place for you. Located on North Lumina Avenue, just 1 block from the sand and waves of the Atlantic Ocean, Jimmy's features a full bar with nightly beer and drink specials, and it hosts musical performers almost every day of the year. One more fun fact, Jimmy's annual Children's Bike Drive, which started in 2017, now distributes more than 1,000 bicycles and helmets per year to young people in the Wilmington area and beyond. Jimmy's Bar, your home away from home on Lumina Avenue in Wrightsville Beach. The Lawson Insurance Group in Raleigh is a family-owned business led by 3 actual brothers who happen to be huge sports fans, Ken Lawson, Miller Lawson, and Michael Lawson. I know these guys, I trust these guys, and I send these guys my own insurance business and that of my family. The next time you have insurance needs, I hope you'll do the same. The Lawson Insurance Group is known for its commitment to community and its dedication to ensuring that North Carolinians and their businesses are prepared for life's inevitable challenges, with the reminder that as a high street insurance partner, Lawson Insurance Group offers local expertise and support that, combined with High Street's extensive national resources, means more choice and support for you as their client. To learn more, search Lawson Insurance Group online. The Lawson Insurance website will be the first link that pops up. Beyond football, once again, your original starting quarterback this season, Grayson McCall, phenomenal at Coastal Carolina, had his moments for you. Recently opted to retire from the game of football after his repeated injuries. I guess some of them you would say literally to his brain, essentially. What was your advice to Grayson? Were you involved with the family in those conversations? And how do you address those sorts of scary issues with all of your other players?
Yeah, well, when this latest injury took place, I told Grayson, what do you need? And just tell me how I can support you in this. And, we had that conversation. It's private. I'm not going to get into all the things that were said. And it's more being in the support lane at that point in time. Same with his family. And we're there for them. Our medical teams are there for them. It's whatever they need from us, not just in the decision, but after the decision and what comes next. And I have nothing but love and respect for him and understand the decision that was made and believe in what they've decided to do. And we'll support him in whatever his next endeavors are. He's talked about wanting to coach, and he'll be a hell of a football coach if that's the lane he ends up in. He's a great, great young man. Have really enjoyed not just coaching him, but getting to know him and his family. And I'm just glad he's okay, more than anything. It was a scary play. It really was. And in 30 years of coaching, I'm not sure I've been more rattled after a play than that one. Watching, a helmet come off with contact to the head with no helmet on, it was the last thing you want to be a part of. So the fact that he was able to be sitting up at the hospital cracking jokes to me later in that day when I went to visit him, God's definitely protecting that young man. And like I told him, his path has got other things in it outside of contact now, and he can go be an incredible mentor, in whatever way he chooses as a coach, whether it's the college level, the high school level, or the pro level. He's going to be an asset to a program.
It's not easy in today's world, Coach, to be a true freshman who is successful at the quarterback position in particular. And you have this guy, CJ Bailey. I don't know if you graded him this way, but from my layman's perspective, I thought he had the two best games of his entire college career back-to-back, 300-plus passing yards against Syracuse and then again against Cal, 70%-ish completion rate. How do you summarize the progress of a guy who truly was still playing high school football in South Florida less than 1 year ago? And what are your expectations moving forward with that in mind?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with CJ. His spirit is incredible. You start with that, just the intangibles of the position. He loves the game. He's fun to be around. He's super competitive at the same time. He's hard on himself. Doesn't ever blame anyone but himself on anything. And he brings just an energy that's infectious to the huddle. And he's getting better. You know, he's seeing things better. The more you rep a young guy, the better they get. But because he played at such a high level in high school, you know, at Chaminade, he's played against upper-level talent for his entire high school career. He was seeing BCS, Power 5, Power 4 players on the field, not only on his team, but competing against them in 7-on-7s and on Friday nights. He's used to the speed of the game. You know, it's more about the bigger guys now that are chasing him, I think, than the speed. Because of the receivers and DBs he's played against, he was ready for that. His parents did a great job raising him. He's very humble. And he's fun to be with, man. And that's all you can ask for is a leader like that in your huddle. And so he's going to continue to improve. The guys are going to continue to play hard for him because they like his spirit. And they know that he's giving them a chance to win right now.
The original Saltworks has become a legendary breakfast, brunch, and lunch place in Wilmington for both locals and out-of-town visitors over the last 50-plus years. Our good friend Bob Hubbard owns the place, but he's also the one cooking your food and often roaming the dining room to greet you with a smile and to make sure your visit is a great one. Bob has been running the show at this unique roadside diner for more than 20 years now, and he and his friendly, hardworking staff aim to treat you like one of their own. Try Bob's homemade omelets or special recipe grits for breakfast or his legendary cheeseburgers for lunch. The original Saltworks, your breakfast and lunch choice on Oleander Drive in Wilmington.
This segment brought to you by our great friends at Atlantic Tire and Service, where DG and his family take all of their vehicles for routine maintenance, service needs, and a world-class selection of new tires. Atlantic Tire and Service, your one-stop tire and auto repair provider with highly trained technicians and a sales and support staff that are second to none. They've grown to 6 Triangle area locations, 2 in Raleigh, 2 in Cary, 1 in Durham, and 1 in Wake Forest. You can learn more online at AtlanticTireOnline.com.
Last thing for Dave Doeren of NC State. You may have mentioned some of your answer a little bit earlier in our conversation, but if you could send one message to Wolfpack Nation right now regarding the status of your program in year 12 or even the remainder of this 2024 season, what would that message be?
Hey, just fight with us. You know, we got 4 more games, 2 at home, 2 on the road. We got a lot to play for last year, similar situation with quarterbacks, and we were able to get on a run and finish strong. And, you know, it's not always about the beginning. It's more about the finish. In my opinion, November can dictate a lot when it comes to the momentum of a program, which we did last year with 5 regular season wins to close out the season. And we're going to take each one at a time. Everyone had higher expectations. Nobody had higher ones than I did. But it's more about how we can finish than how things went at the beginning. And the fan base should know that sticking together at this university is part of the deal. Like, that's what we do, is we stick together and fight. And there is no quit in the Wolfpack. And so I just ask that they continue to do that and support our players and our staff as we try to finish this thing the right way for them.
Coach Dave Doeren, appreciate your time, Coach. You always let me pick your brain on things on and off the field, and I really appreciate that. Best wishes the rest of the way, and thanks for 12 years worth of conversations with us at this point.
Thanks for having me, man. Have a great weekend. Go Pack.